every 26 seconds, a young person drops out of school. Every 26 seconds. Now picture that. A young person drops out of school, particularly young boys. And many of these young boys, they end up in a gang. And many of them never make it out. And if you're watching this video, right, I want to speak directly to you. I want to let you know that the street life is not so pretty. When I was growing up, I mean, I get it. I get it. I grew up in the most hostile place you can ever imagine. Back home, growing up in Angola, raw ghetto. I haven't seen real ghetto in the UK, you know, at least it cannot compare to African ghettos, you know, and I grew up in that environment. When I came to the UK, when I was living back home, I came from you wouldn't even call the bottom or the pit, you would call it the sewer. Like, I came from the very bottom, to an extent where we would go days without eating. And bear in mind, I didn't grow up in a village. I grew up in a city. And at the same time, my country was at war. I grew up in times where we would stay days without eating. And the house where I grew up, infested with rats. We would find rat feces in the water that we're drinking, in the food that we're cooking. Days without electricity. Again, I grew up in the capital of Angola, in the city. But in the favelas of the city, hard times. And I was going astray. I was from that struggle and the people I was hanging out with, I was close. I was getting caught up in the gang life. And the miracle that happened was my mom decided to move to the UK. You know, when you back home, you have this concept in your mind that Europe has no ghettos, at least to the European standard of ghetto. Because in my mind, like, there's nothing worse than ghettos in Africa. So any ghetto I was going to encounter in the UK will not compare to the ghetto of where I came from. And I wasn't proven wrong. However, for the people that were born in the UK, for the people that grew up in the UK ghetto where I ended up moving to, it was a horrible place. But to me, it wasn't a horrible place. And I caught myself hanging out with members of gangs, people who were part of gangs, and to me, I lucky enough, I've always been the type of person who was good at judging people. Although I was hanging out with gang members, I was not partaking in their activities. However, like they say, you become like the people you hang out with eventually. It doesn't matter how long, or you can get caught up in a crossfire, whether you're partaking or not partaking. If your mate gets caught for something and you are friends with that person, or you're in communication with that person, you can get caught in a crossfire. If your friends gets arrested or they mistake you for somebody else, anything can happen. And I think one of the reasons many young people, at least from my experience, one of the reasons is because as a young person, you want respect, and you want to be feared amongst your peers, amongst your enemies. You want to be feared, you want to be respected, you want to get rich. You want to be part of a community. You want to be part of a family. Being part of a gang, it makes you feel like you belong to an important cause. But here's the truth. Fast money disappears fast. It goes just as fast as it comes. And when things get real, that family disappears. the gang, the friends that you thought were friends, were family, they disappear because they don't have enough power to save you from the pits of hell. And that fear that you create, the fear that you create becomes or it turns to paranoia. You're constantly looking over your shoulders. However, you want everybody to fear you. Well, that's not a way to live, really. And the thing is, you're not building something, you're surviving. You're constantly looking over your shoulders. You're in constant stress. You might think that you're gaining power, but in reality, you're giving up everything. Honestly, there's only two ways out. Well, three ways, but there's a famous saying that in a gang life, there's only two way outs, which is dead or in jail. But before it's too late, before you end up in jail or dead, you still have an opportunity to walk away. But but at the same time, you are extremely gripped by the adrenaline that comes with it. You're gripped by the desires of money and having people worship you. Once you get rid of that, once you get rid of these people don't really care about me, these people won't be there for me, what am I doing to my family? What am I doing to my life? Once you sit back and reflect on those things, it will get easier for you to make a decision. Life will not be easy, but to make a decision, if you want to make a decision, reflect on those things. Because what you're doing is you're sacrificing your freedom, you're sacrificing your future, you're sacrificing your peace. You miss out on family moments, you miss out on school, you miss out on great friends that you could have. And you start to forget how to sleep easy at night. And often you don't realize how much you're losing until it's too late. But here's the thing, there's another way. Let's not be all negative. Let's try and be positive, because what you need to hear right now is how you can get out of the gang life, how you can get out of the streets and make the most of life. First, you don't have to be perfect. And you don't have to have everything figured out. You just have to want more. The same desires that you have, or the same drive that you have being a gang member, being a gangster, or the same skills that you have, you can implement or use those skills in a positive light and obtain whatever you want in life using those skills. And one thing that I've learned as well, that I realized, young boys who end up in gangs are usually the smartest one. It's crazy. Like, they're so smart and intelligent and high IQ, but they choose to use that IQ, they choose to use that intelligence to do bad things. Now imagine if you use that brain of yours, if you use that desire and the drive and the IQ and the creativity that you have in doing something positive, starting your own business, and realizing that not everybody is your enemy. Not your family, your parents are not your enemy. Even if you came from a broken home. Even if you came from a broken home. I think the best way to go at life is to stop blaming others for your disappointments, for your life. Stop blaming others and take responsibility and overcome that struggle. And there are many opportunities out there. There are mentors. There's music studio. If you're into music, there's music studios. There's trade college schools. When I say trade college and schools, I mean in the sense of you want to be a plumber, you want to be an electrician, you want to be a bricklayer. There are courses available for you. And if you're watching this and you think that you are in too deep in that lifestyle, you have to remember, it's never too late. It is never too late. You don't have to keep proving yourself to people who wouldn't even visit you in jail. For people, if you die today, in less or within a year, they'll forget about you and they'll move on, you know. Don't let the streets write your story. Write your own story. And if you wish to talk and discuss more, just send me a comment or DM me on Instagram. You've got my Instagram below right there. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Journey of Youth. We are out.